G'day folks, welcome back to my nonsense. If you somehow got through my first video where Slugmas somehow managed to beat the whole of Pokemon Emerald by himself, you'll probably enjoy this episode. This time we're going back to Kanto, and the enhanced version of Pokemon Red and Blue, Pokemon Yellow. Arguably this version is the most difficult in the generation due to its high levels in most of the gyms, better moves used by the gym leaders, Elite Four, and the difficulty in using Pikachu at the start, especially when the first gym leader specialises in the Rock and Ground type. However, Pikachu isn't the focus of today's video, rather another underwhelming electric type, Magnemite. Now Magnemite's stats aren't all that bad, considering in Generation 1 its special 95 counted for special attack and special defense, and its physical defense is also pretty good. However, its particularly low speed, attack and health lets it down, and here's why. There is a glaringly obvious problem that Magnemite has for this challenge. Despite its great special attack, all its special moves are electric, by level up or by TM, which doesn't affect ground types. Other than that, it has normal moves, which prior to Generation 4 were physical, though this only uses Magnemite's 35 base attack, so we will be doing next to no damage to rock types, or anything with a decent defense stat. In fact, because we only have Tackle until level 21, means that we will run into a Brock brick wall, and we will have particular difficulty with Giovanni's 4 Pokemon learning Earthquake at the end, including Dugtrio, whose high base speed, which will mean it'll critically hit often. However, we do have some good status moves at our disposal: Double Team, Reflect, Rest, Mimic. These will come in handy. Obviously, Magnemite will only be used in battle, no items or other Pokemon, glitches or exploits. Alright, let's get started. Using the Universal Pokemon Randomizer, we replace Pikachu with Magnemite, and I name it N Game Time. It's an anagram of Magnemite that I thought was pretty clever. Speaking of game time, let's get into it. Our rival always gets Eevee, and what it will evolve into is dependent on the outcome of the first 2 battles. If we lose the first battle, we instantly get a Vaporeon by the end to make it a bit easier. If we win but lose or skip the Route 22 battle, there's Flareon, and if we win both, we get Jolteon. Obviously we want to make this as hard as possible, so let's try and win both. Surprisingly, I actually won the level 5 battle in spite of having low attack, Eevee having the same type attack bonus from Tackle, and lowering my defense with Tail Whip. It helped that it used Tail Whip twice at the end instead of finishing me off when I only had 1 health, but a win is a win. Now, as I mentioned, we've already got a seemingly uphill task. We have to level till level 21 until we can beat Brock, because Sonic Boom always does 20 damage. No way Tackle will do enough damage with our low attack, and as we level, it'll take longer and longer to gain levels, but this is what has to happen. I'm at level 12 by the time I challenge my rival. His Spearow was no problem, but his Eevee could have been if it hit me more. It destroyed my attack with its Sand Attack, and my defense with Tail Whip, but it hardly attacked, so I eventually won without too much trouble after several misses. At level 17, I give Brock a try, but I don't even come close. I don't even defeat Geodude. We do roughly the same damage, and it's pretty much a race to the finish line who could do the most damage. Since we missed a few times with our Tackle, Geodude beats us before we can beat him. I also try at level 19 with Struggle. We pretty much lose at the same point, however. So after 2.5 real-time hours leveling up, we get to level 21 and learn Sonic Boom. As you can imagine, we rock Brock's team with no problem. First badge, done. Obviously we're over-leveled at this point, but I still take the time to defeat the trainers from here on into Cerulean City, as Thundershock is only a few levels away, and that will come in handy for both our rival fight and for Misty. Before that, as this version is based off the anime, we have a battle with Jesse and James before we leave Mount Moon. They aren't a problem though. Once we get to Cerulean City, I immediately battle Misty to see how well we stack up. We do great damage, and didn't take too much damage from Bubble Beam, so it was an easy win. With our rival, I didn't even heal up after Misty, but he was no problem either. His Sand Slash will be later on though, and our next battle on the SSN follows the same sentiment. I battle Surge for the 3rd badge, and he only has Raichu, but it has strong moves including Mega Punch and Mega Kick. I paralyse it to get the speed advantage, but it never once attacked me, instead using Growl when Sonic Boom does fixed damage. Anyway, I surge to victory and learn Thunderbolt, easily our best move for this challenge. I have to make my way through Rock Tunnel, but I have a mandatory battle with a hiker along the way. I had learnt Swift at level 41 and replaced Sonic Boom with it, but it was probably a little bit silly as I'm doing much less damage. However, Swift will do more damage in the long run. I actually won due to Graveler self-destructing and had other Pokemon in my party, but I had to reset as it is a single Pokemon challenge, but I did get there in the end. I had my rival battle at Lavender Town afterward, but I swatted him aside easily, Sandshrew the only one who could do any damage. I decided to give Erica a try at the Grass Gym. I had few issues dispatching of Tangela and Weepinbell, but Gloom had me a little worried when it put me to sleep after being paralysed. It did get off a critical Petal Dance, but since it was paralysed the following turn, Petal Dance doesn't reactivate, nor does Gloom get confused as the turns didn't complete. It could have taken me out, but kept on using Acid, so I eventually 2-hit KO it with Thunderbolt. Before my battle with Giovanni, I have to battle Jesse and James as I enter the 4th floor of the Rocket Hideout. I'm double their level, so they were no problem. I also didn't have many problems with Giovanni either. His rock types motor resist my moves, but since I learned Screech, Swift takes him out fairly quickly. After taking out the Channelers in the Pokemon Tower, I have yet another battle with Jesse and James. Yeah, they're 2 levels higher, but they can't land a hit, so I win easily. I decided to see how far I can stretch my luck with my special attack, so I decided to battle Koga after clearing out the Fuchsia City Gym. I have only a small level lead on his team, but I blast through them easily. Thunderbolt is not surprisingly a shockingly powerful move. In fact, I even skipped the whole of Silph to battle my rival after. He now has a Sand Slash, so I have to use Screech first up. And he drops me to half health and an accuracy drop before I take him out. Despite that, I still won in spite of me landing in red health at the end. Before my second battle with Giovanni, I still have my final battle with Jesse and James. And despite a 23 level lead, they almost took me... no, they didn't even land a hit. Who could land a hit was Giovanni. Nidorino and Persian were easy as Nidorino isn't ground yet, but obviously I had trouble with Rhyhorn and Nidoqueen. I have good defense, so Rhyhorn doesn't give me too many issues, but Nidoqueen hits hard big time. It uses a guard spec, so I can't use Screech, and probably could have taken me down if it used more body slams. In the end, I get through narrowly. After Team Rocket is gone, I head to Celadon City to get a Pokédoll. I do this because there is a girl in Saffron City called the Copycat, who will trade me TM31 for it. It's Mimic, and will copy one of your opponent's moves for the battle. This will, for sure, come in handy when we can't deal sufficient physical damage. With my level lead slowly becoming narrowed by the gyms, I still give Sabrina a try, and I stupidly won. Why stupidly? Well, Abra can't do anything besides Flash, Kadabra uses Psywave that does random damage, and Alakazam takes out half my remaining health with Psychic, and then uses an X-Defend, and then misses Psywave, so we win. I then surf to Cinnabar Island and battle Blaine for the 7th badge. Our luck has finally run out, and we get absolutely almost crushed by his first Pokemon Ninetales with a second Flamethrower that was a critical hit, to be finished off with Rapidash's Stomp. Stupidly enough, however, on my 3rd try I have less than half my health as I make it to Arcanine, and it uses Reflect when it could have easily ended me. I managed to survive a Flamethrower with only 19 health and 2-hit KO it. Not as dumb as raw Super Potion full health Blaine, but still. So, I already have 7 badges, but I'm only level 58. There's no way though that I'm beating Giovanni at this level. His first Pokemon Dugtrio has Dig and Earthquake, and is incredibly fast, so he will critically hit often. And if that wasn't a pain, he also has Nidoqueen, Nidoking, and Rhydon, all of whom also have Earthquake and are solid physically. However, I do have a plan. I replace Thundershock with Reflect and Screech with Mimic. What I plan to do is try and last through the battle with Reflect, as it lasts the entire battle in Generation 1, then Mimic Dig or Earthquake, as they both have 100 power. Well, here's my first attempt, completely crushed with a critical Earthquake in 10 seconds. Who saw that one coming? What was actually hilarious was my Spearow, 41 levels lower, lasted a whole 10 minutes. Obviously it's not affected by ground moves, so I just have to experiment. I deliberately used all my status moves as Dugtrio ruined my accuracy eventually with Sand Attack. After that, I missed all 15 of my flies and then hit Dugtrio twice out of my 35 pecks. I obviously kept missing Struggle too, but eventually I fainted due to recoil damage whilst almost taking Dugtrio out. I come back at level 65 and do a hell of a lot better. Dugtrio doesn't critically hit me this time, and I Mimic Dig to get him to miss an Earthquake, which happens. He could have attacked me more, but I'm not complaining. Persian was a one-hit KO with Thunderbolt, and I two-hit KO'd both Nidoqueen and Nidoking taking an Earthquake, but I'm at low health by the time we get to Rhydon, and I was actually one hit from victory due to it missing a guard spec first move. However, it did land the finishing blow. I still need to level up. There were a bunch of trainers I skipped in the water close to Fuchsia and Cinnabar Island, and the experience isn't bad at this point. I reach level 69, nice, and try again. This time I take no damage from Dugtrio nor Persian, but I have to steal Earthquake from Nidoqueen, which was probably the wrong Pokemon to do so, as it is physically bulkier. I still get to Rhydon with low health, but I still go down the same way. I tried a few different things, using Double Team and Rest to try and survive longer, but Dugtrio's a crit machine with its high speed, and I just have varying degrees of luck where I still eventually lose. I go to the Fighting Dojo in Saffron to get a few more levels. At level 73 now, I almost get instantly crushed by a critical dig for 131 damage. I take out Dugtrio, Persian, somehow get a critical hit on both Nidoqueen and Nidoking with Earthquake, but I don't have the same luck with Rhydon. We are so close. I just decide to keep battling Giovanni and level up on my defeats. Thankfully, at my 13th try in total, I once again somehow got through this fight in the most ridiculous way. Dugtrio hits me for 66 health with a regular Earthquake. It also wasted turns using a guard spec and going for Fissure, so I mimicked Dig and was lucky that he went for Dig because I did the same, and because I attacked second, I get my attack in and dodge Dugtrios. I take care of Persian as usual, and with Nidoqueen and Nidoking, I two-hit KO them whilst taking Earthquake and then using a guard spec in the process. Weird. What was even weirder was Rhydon. I was still at low health, Dig takes out half his health, and he uses again another guard spec, so I finish him. Once again, I win solely because of the dumb Gen 1 AI. Not sure if I deserve it, but hey, I'll take it. Naturally, my rival battle after that was just a cakewalk. I used Mimic to steal Slash off Sandslash, and due to its high critical hit chance, I two-shot it, and the rest of his team didn't stand a chance. As much of a breeze that was, I certainly won't stand a chance against Gary Sandslash in the final battle. It'll have Earthquake, and it'll be at level 61, so I do have to prepare. I beat some trainers that I missed from Lavender Town towards Fuchsia, as well as all the trainers of Victory Road, and I end up at level 79, and top up at level 80. Our stats. Our special and defense are excellent, and for 25 base health, our health is actually pretty good, and our speed isn't too bad either. That attack though, that'll be enough. Anyway, let's give it a try, and I have some rare candies if we need to advance our level. Here we go. Lorelei is the first cab off the rank, and naturally being electric type, we shock her for a very swift victory. No problem at all. Brunei by contrast though gave me problems. His Onix may not hit hard because of its low attack, but it's faster and does get a critical hit with Dig. I mimic it and two-hit KO it. Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee were easy, and fourth was another Onix who has Earthquake. If he had critically hit me, he would have ended me, but he didn't, so I two-hit KO it. And Machamp can't take a Thunderbolt, so I get by. I heal up my health and attacks outside of battle and move on. Third is Agatha. I almost take her first Gengar out with Thunderbolt, but she just uses a Super Potion, so it's easy. Golbat, Haunter and Arbok are all one-hit KOs, and last was another Gengar. It confuses me, but due to no avail as I two-hit KO and bypass confusion as it hits a weak Psychic. Clean battle. Fourth is Lance, and he was easy as well. Thanks to me using Mimic on the second Dragoneer, who I knew had Ice Beam, I completely demolished the rest of his team. Finally, it's the Pokemon Champion, and speaking of getting demolished, is what exactly happened instantly to me, as Sandslash's second Earthquake critically hits me, taking me out. I have to use Reflect and then Mimic on Earthquake, because Swift does next to no damage at all, so that gives Sandslash 2 hits on me without me having to respond in return. Furthermore, I take 4 hits, and Earthquake only does 1/3 of his health, so the only way I can survive is to survive the 4th Earthquake due to damage range. On my 4th try, coincidentally, I do survive with only 1 health, and bring Alakazam to roughly the same amount of health, but it recovers, so I finish it, but I instantly lose to Exeggutor's massive barrage. I decide to replace Swift with Rest to try and elongate the battle, but because I have to wait 3 turns to attack, Sandslash's Earthquake brings me to roughly the same health to before I used it. I decide to use some rare candies. and I'm at level 85, and because of a critical hit this time on my second attack, I'm able to have more health with Alakazam, just for it to take me out with a critical side beam as it's faster. I used the rest of my rare candies and I'm at level 88 now. I can take 4 Earthquakes and survive a bit better and almost one-shot Alakazam with Earthquake, but it finishes me off with Psychic, so I just should use Thunderbolt. My second try, and I'm at similar health to last time, but with Alakazam, I do take it out with Thunderbolt as I'm faster. I take my chance to rest with Exeggutor, but in spite of it having garbage moves, it still has Leech Seed. Luckily, it only takes 13 damage, and when I land one-shot kills on my opponents, I don't take any damage, so I'm not in immediate danger. I one-hit Cloyster and Ninetales, and last is Jolteon. It just hits me with a weak quick attack as I finish it with Earthquake, winning the run. That only took 9 tries total. I was expecting that to be more brutal, and I was expecting to be at level 100. As expected, Giovanni and Sandslash at the end were brutal, but there is always a good chance that Gen 1 will somehow find a way to lose a seemingly winnable fight. If you enjoyed this, subscribe as I've got good stuff coming up in the future, so stay tuned for more nonsense. I'm Walter Furky 101, and see you next time.